everyone, and welcome to another review from Colour with Claire. Today we're back with another edition of the Colouring Heaven magazine for June. This is the Woodland Fairies special featuring 40 enchanting designs by Christine Karen, and this includes 10 exclusive new designs that you won't find anywhere else apart from right here in this edition of Colouring Heaven. So if you've been in the colouring community for a while, you've probably heard of Christine's name already, as she's already published a few of her own colouring books, all with this fairy theme. So this is kind of a collection of some of her favourite pieces, I guess, some of her best work, and you can get, you know, a little sampler of all of the different kinds of art that she does in this book. So as usual with Colouring Heaven, you get a depiction of the artwork that's inside on the cover here. You can see we've got a mixture of line art and grayscale. And if you've been wanting to dip your toe in the water with grayscale but you've never been quite sure, this is a really good and cheap way of getting your hands on a few different grayscale images to give it a go. So you can colour the cover front and back. If you want to use pencils, that's totally fine. It's not glossy. It has a beautiful matte texture for you to use whatever you want to colour that cover. Now on the inside cover of the book, you will find a little bit about Christine here, which I'll just read for you. It says, Christine is a celebrated artist and children's book illustrator based in Alberta, Canada. Working as a freelance artist for 20 years, her artwork's been sold worldwide and includes several self-published colouring books. Christine loves to create fantasy illustrations and characters with a whimsical, narrative and humorous touch, primarily using coloured pencil, ink, pens, markers and watercolour on paper. And then you've got a few links there for you to go ahead and find Christine online. As usual, we've got the colour combination chart for you to reference your colours, and we're straight into the first illustration. And this first one has a very sketchy kind of draft quality to it. It hasn't been digitally cleaned up or rendered. It just looks like something out of Christine's sketchbook, and isn't it beautiful? We've got the little nest of chicks in the hair here, and you know, just a gorgeous expressive look on these ladies' faces. Now this is one of the exclusive images. This is Fairy Dance, and I absolutely adore the movement that Christine has created with this. You can see with all the flowers and the petals and the way that the dresses and the hair is billowing, it creates this sense of movement like they're doing Ring a Ring of Roses. Just gorgeous, just gorgeous. Again, as I said, really, really expressive ladies in this book. Gorgeous eyes, beautiful sleek hair for you to colour, and that's another thing about this book. There's loads of different types of hair for you to practice on. It's not all just beautifully straight, perfect hair. This is another exclusive illustration to the Colouring Heaven. You can see she's got her little bird friends around her. We've got another exclusive here. This is the Fairy Sleep, and this one's encased in this frame of tree branches, which as you can see actually originates at her feet. So she's definitely a fantasy character. She's got these horns coming out, and again different hair, kind of frizzy hair here, and we've got the little chicks asleep. It's a nighttime scene. We've got the little moon and stars in the sky. We've got the owl, the fox. Everyone's just settling in for the night there. Beautiful kind of enclosed scene. We've then got the fawn fairy with the Bambi kind of deer here. We've got some wings for you to colour. Try and practice your translucent wings. And again, with the material of this dress being quite translucent, it might be an idea to try and practice getting material looking quite silky and sheer. We've then got the lilac fairy here. This is obviously the lilacs in her hair, creating these kind of bunches with a few strands flowing down. And as you can see, sort of going through, there's a lot of different styles of illustration here. We started off with that very kind of sketchy look, pencil sketch. Now we've got a more digitally cleaned up line art. This is the New Islands fairy, another beautiful illustration. You could use a little bit of washed down acrylic paint to go over this underwater scene here once you've coloured it, just to make it look like it's under the surface of the water. It could be moonlit or sunlit. It doesn't really matter, however you want to colour it. And again, we've got this sheer fabric of the dress. Another exclusive image. This is the Old Tree Fairy. So very, very simple, just a fairy sat on the tree trunk with a few flowers, some cute little toes. This one's actually my favourite from the whole book. It's the Old Wise Fairy, another exclusive image for this edition of Colouring Heaven. And, you know, with your Hannah Lynn, your Christine Karen, your Jasmine Beckett Griffith, you often see these gorgeous, beautiful, young, sprightly characters, and it's really nice to see a more mature, beautiful lady depicted. I'm going to have such fun trying to create the kind of dappled aged skin that I think this illustration is really yearning for. So we've got the toadstool fairy, fairly self-explanatory there, loads of different toadstools, these huge big leaves. Obviously she's a really tiny fairy, so they're probably just normal sized leaves, to be honest. And then we move into the grayscale section of the book. This is the bluebell fairy, which is the one, I believe, if my memory serves me, which it never does. Yes, from the back cover. So yeah, grayscale, whether you've tried it or not, this is a really good opportunity just to practice skin and hair. You know, you don't have to see it as a big sort of a challenge or whatever. If you don't want to do grayscale colouring in this book, there's plenty of line art for you to do instead, but use these pages as practice for your highlights and shadows which have been left in for you. This is the cherry fairy. So lots of different shiny cherries, and you know, you can see, I'm not going to ramble on about every little detail of the picture. We've got the clover fairy, so again, very, very expressive. It looks like she's looking out of the page. Very, very talented is Christine. This is the cornflower fairy. So we've got a kind of more sort of oriental looking lady here with the corn in the background growing and this beautiful thistly headband. This is the cranberry fairy, and I'm seeing this as a sort of a wintry type illustration. We've got some bouquet in the background that could be kind of snowfall, obviously the cranberry wreath here and the birds. We've then got the fairy queen who's holding her magical staff. This would be a really good one to create some light source colouring here, so you could make this really bright and glowy, actually glowing onto her skin. If you are going to do a glowing kind of look like that, I would always recommend to do your yellow glowing areas first if you are doing yellow glow. So everywhere that you can see that is lightest on this lady's face, another great thing about grayscale, it really helps you find your highlights and shadows. Everywhere that's lightest here, I would colour in yellow, and always do that first before you do your skin tone. Just put those light areas in if you're trying to create a glowing look. Again here with the firefly fairy, we've got a guy this time. There's a few guys in this book actually. It's really kind of refreshing to see men depicted. It's always young girls in these kind of books. It's really great to have some men as well. Again with the glowing fireflies here, just take all of the lighter areas of his face and colour those in your yellows before you do the skin. This is Forest Spirits, and I just love how glowing this lady looks. I don't know how this kind of effect has been created on black and white, but it's absolutely stunning. It could be a night scene, it could be a day scene, it doesn't really matter, it just depends how you want to do it. Gorgeous dark waters here and the forest in the background. We've then got the full moon fairy. The moon is actually within her hair, and again, wings to practice. Lots of different areas of the body to practice, shoulders, chest, clavicle, throat, different kind of highlights and shadows apply to each section of the body, so it's great for practice. This is one of my favourites as well, the hazelnut fairy. Gorgeous kind of curling afro style hair, beautiful freckles, and the hazelnuts, the squirrel. I love everything about that one. This is the ivy fairy, so very simple. You've got your ivy leaves, kind of very, very curly hair, this one, kind of frizzy curly hair. This I can imagine being done as a kind of Irish lady with beautiful red hair and the green of the ivy leaves. Again, we're back to line art now, so very kind of clean line art. This is Birdsong Fairy playing the flute for all her bird friends. We've got the blueberry fairy, so her little bird friends again are picking out the blueberries that she's holding. Love this little delicate plait in her hair as well. We've got a side view on this one, so again, practicing maybe your cheekbone structure. We've got the Kaya lily fairy holding the lilies. Again, this sense of movement with the hair blowing in the breeze. This is the daisy fairy, so she's plucking her daisies, loves me not, and she's got the daisy headdress there as well. We've got the dandelion fairy, and this is what we always do, isn't it, when we see one of these dandelion puffs. We get the kids, we blow them, we make a wish. Just a beautiful little kind of charming illustration. This is the dragonfly fairy, so she's actually got dragonfly wings of her own. Love these little baby hairs as well. Forget-me-not fairy, loads of tiny weeny little forget-me-nots sprinkled across this page, and I'm loving this necklace made of branches or twine. This is the Lily of the Valley fairy. So again, a lot of these illustrations are based around flowers and nature. We've got the Pine Tree Fairy, which would look absolutely fantastic in autumn colours. The Rowan Tree Fairy. Now, I'm not entirely sure what a Rowan tree berry looks like. Is it those ones with the really, really small red berries that are all bunched together? My nana used to have that tree in the front of her garden, so that may be a Rowan. I'm not sure. I'm sure you'll let me know. This is the Maple Tree Fairy, dipping back in to the grayscale here. Just love how carefree and young she looks. She's got this gorgeous plait flowing down around her, just dancing around the leaves as they fall. This is the Northern Lights Fairy. This would be a great one to do my Northern Lights tutorial on. So just look in my playlist for tutorials and you'll find Northern Lights. Again, we've got another guy. Looks like he's got his spirit animal here, which seems to be an eagle. And yes, love it, love it, love it, love it. Poppy Fairy, big, beautiful blossoming poppies all around her. Again, beautiful look to these ladies. The Pussy Willow Fairy, not sure what a Pussy Willow looks like. Are they white buds? I don't know. I'll have to look it up. This is the River Fairy. So we've got another guy. He's in the river with all these fish just jumping out at him. I don't know, what can you say? There's a huge collection of just beautiful artwork, beautiful people. This is Rose Hips Fairy, which I've actually started, as you can see. I've been using Arteza pencils on this and a lot of blending solution to get the skin as smooth as it is. And yeah, just really, really loving that at the moment. I used to have that exact colour hair, so it's bringing back memories for me. This is the Snow Fairy, which is very much a wintry kind of Christmassy scene. We've got the reindeer, she's sat atop there, putting the snowflake baubles onto the tree branches. We've got the Summer Wind Fairy, again, all this movement of the breeze in the picture. Beautiful, beautiful pictures. And the last one is the Water Lily Fairy, which I actually coloured in my review of Christine's fairy book. And I did do that kind of glowing look. I made these into flames rather than petals, so it looked like she was holding fire. And that is it. So, Colouring Heaven have a spring sale on at the moment. You can get 2 years for the price of one on their subscription service. So if you're interested in having every edition of Colouring Heaven dropping on your mat every month without you having to do anything apart from sign up, then you can get 2 years at the current price of one. So 50% off at the moment. All the links in the description for you to buy this or sign up will be there in the description. So if you want to buy this in the UK, you can head off to your local newsagent or supermarket and find it there. If not, it's on the link in the description if you want to order it online. Again, if you're overseas, you can also order online as well. Just check the show notes below for all of those links. So let me know what you think of the latest edition of Colouring Heaven. I always love to know your opinions, and I will see you next time on Colour with Claire.